On the island of Oahu, there is a special place that Latter-day Saints consider sacred land. Graced by a house of the Lord.
There's something more than just the paradise and the beauty, but it's a peaceful feeling that can't really be put into words.
Where young people study on a campus seen in a prophetic vision. They welcome visitors, share their cultures, and the spirit of aloha sweeps over them.
We get to grow in many different ways with education, as well as our testimony strengthens in the gospel.
Thousands who came before returned this year to celebrate and share memories.
The people can feel the spirit when we dance by sharing our culture. It wasn't work.
It'll be just an experience that happens only 50 years.
To see the bonding of those people spoke volumes for the love they developed for each other.
This ancient land was to be their destination. So from across the seas, from the isles of the South Pacific, the gathering began.
What the islanders did 50 years ago, what they do today, is leave their homelands to come to a place of learning. Their message to millions is one of peace. Come with us now and experience their Voyage of Faith. The sun rises on the picture-perfect sand and sea of the island of Oahu. They combine to create such glorious images that people throughout the world call it the fabled North Shore. There is indeed something unusual about this land. Many feel it as well as experience its beauty. The desire to mark it spiritually began centuries ago.
This is all that remains of a temple built 250 years ago on the island of Oahu. This land was considered sacred by the inhabitants and a place that transferred power from heaven to earth.
Two events paved the way for the restored gospel of Jesus Christ. In 1820, Princess Kapiolani defied the goddess of the volcano on the Big Island of Hawaii, officially ending paganism. And in 1850, the first Latter-day Saint labor missionaries to the then Sandwich Islands dedicated the land to future missionary work. By 1854, more than 4,000 islanders had converted. Over the next century and a half, prophets and apostles blessed the land of Laie on Oahu's North Shore.
When prophets and apostles set foot on the land, it becomes more hallowed than it has ever been before. And when these men that we've sustained as prophets, seers, and revelators come to bless a land, that land will really be blessed. And if the people will be obedient to the teachings that follow, their land will be blessed. They will be blessed. They will prosper.
The land of Laie is one such place. The inspiration about where to put a temple came to then church president Joseph F. Smith, who had served a mission in Hawaii at age 15. Elder Reed Smoot was present when he dedicated the ground. Never in my life did I hear such a prayer. He seemed as if he were talking face to face with the Father. I cannot and never will forget it if I live 1,000 years. On Thanksgiving Day, 1919, President Heber J. Grant dedicated the Laie Hawaii Temple, the first outside North America.
In his dedicatory prayer, President Grant asked that in future years, everyone who comes to the temple grounds, whether they are Latter-day Saints or not, be able to feel the peaceful influence of what he called this blessed and hallowed spot.
Can we help you take a picture?
Sisters Ashley Annan and Rachel Munoa are serving their missions here.
Yeah, oh, it's so pretty. We love it here. Well, my ancestors, the Cloughs, they were some of the first missionaries to come here to Laie with Lorenzo Snow and Joseph F. Smith, and they knew at that time that this was a sacred place, and even anciently it's always been a place of refuge and a place where you can feel this extra sense of peace.
People come here from all over the world, and these are some people who have never seen a Mormon temple before, and some of these people have never even heard of Jesus Christ before. And so the second they walk on these grounds, it's pretty amazing. Right away they feel the Spirit.
That one's huge.
These missionaries say they witness daily the Spirit at work on this land. They understand the vision.
Just like, Salt Lake was this gathering place for the saints, on the mainland, Laie has been that gathering place for the saints here all around the Pacific. And because of that, all these prophecies that have been made and things that the prophets have known and foreseen, it's here.
The name of the town, Laie, means gathering place, and the people who live here prosper in blessings more than riches. When then Apostle Elder David O. McKay witnessed a school flag raising in 1921 in Laie, he looked at the faces of the children and had a vision of a center of education for the people of the islands.
He said, "I like to speak to the citizens of Laie. Love and live in peace. So when people enter this village, they will feel there is something different here than any town they ever visited."
In his dedicatory prayer for the church college, President David O. McKay asked the Lord to bless the land, influencing not thousands, not tens of thousands, but millions of people who will come seeking to know what this town and its significance are. In the 1950s, there were not even 1 million people in Hawaii or 1 million visitors. The center opened in 1963, and 3.8 million visitors came through the gates in the first 10 years. Today, nearly 38 million have come and have been embraced by its people.
I think we do preach the gospel here, but it's not in words, it's in action.
I speak of Polynesia.
Alfred Grace knows from experience. Born and raised in New Zealand, he is the first president of the PCC who began as a student performer. The first presidency appointed him.
Most people will come away saying these young people seem to have a value base that is becoming unusual.
Are you guys happy today?
And perhaps peculiar.
2013 marks the Polynesian Cultural Center's 50th anniversary. Many who helped create the environment returned to celebrate. David Hanneman was the center's first paid employee.
As I reflect back 50 years ago, the faith of our people and the Spirit. And that's what makes the center so special. And that Spirit still exists today.
Meet the people who built, grew up, and first performed at the Polynesian Cultural Center half a century ago. They are next. Once a PCC performer, always a PCC performer, which meant that the alumni who returned to participate in the 50th anniversary celebration had some serious rehearsing to do.
It's just amazing, just the energy and just to see everyone, despite the creaks in the knees and stuff, but it just brings back great memories of the past.
Feels great. BYU, PCC, Laie community is all home sweet home for me. And I think for everybody else, it's awesome. It's an awesome feeling.
It's like coming home. There's so many people that I know and that know me, and to sit and watch the show, that they've taken numbers from the show I was in, we're all having flashbacks. It's really cool.
I was here when I was 6 years old, brought from Fiji, and to see the growth and to see the mission that's behind this thing. It's been a joy. It's more than words can express it.
During their reunion week, the alums came together for a luau on the beach, where the idea of a Polynesian cultural center actually began.
It was soon obvious the students needed a way to make money, so church leaders turned to church members who had discovered a way to draw tourists to this side of the island on what is now called Hukilau Beach.
In the late 1940s, church members needed to raise money for a new chapel after theirs burned. So they thought of using an ancient Hawaiian idea, the hukilau. Huki means to pull, and lau refers to leaves placed into the large nets to attract the fish. So traditionally, a group of people cast the net from shore and then pulled it back full of fish for a luau.
We're going to a hukilau. Hooky, 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 hooky lao.
After enjoying one of the luau's in 1948, Jack Owens wrote the Hukilau song. It was a hit.
We'll throw our nets out into the sea, and all the amma come swimming to me.
What came from their culture grew to attract millions.
Hooky, 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 hooky lao.
The first PCC performers came for a reunion, but to also see prophecy fulfilled. What they experienced brought them joy, which meant both laughter and tears.
It changed my life. I own a Polynesian Culture Center in my life now.
Oh, it's magical. Everybody that we performed with are basically our brothers and sisters.
And that's why we've returned after 25 years. We want to be with them. We want to be here to experience
And it's just like we just left off. Like yesterday, we said goodbye to them and it's like, hello, we're back again.
Coming back to the PCC, and particularly the village of Fiji, really is home for Jack Damuni. His parents were the first performers here, and it's where he was born.
I had the greatest cultural education. You know, I was raised not by my parents, but I was raised by people who worked the Samoan village and the Tongan village and the Tahitian village, Hawaiian village, New Zealand. They all raised me. Being raised here at the Polynesian Culture Center has taught me to live the greatest commandment. To love the Lord, love the Lord with all your heart, might, mind, and soul, but to love others.
I love
these bowls.
Beautiful bowls.
Yeah.
You don't do that with a
chainsaw. They all chainsaw.
Do?
All my work is a chainsaw.
Sione Palutu is a master wood carver now living in Laie. He was one of the original builders of the PCC from Tonga.
It's the power of the prayer came into the play. I went in the room that I was staying in my sister's house, and I knelt down and I said, Heavenly Father, send me to Hawaii. I'd love to go, and if thou seest that I will be useful.
Over 100 labor missionaries built the PCC's original 39 structures on a 12-acre site. Later, it expanded to cover 42 acres. Managers imported both skilled artisans and original materials from the South Pacific to ensure authenticity. The Polynesian Cultural Center opened to the public on October 12, 1963.
I do have a testimony of this place because the center were inspired to be built here. I cut this piece of wood.
Sione worked for Ron Swickard, the original supervisor, who now lives in Montana.
We came here in early '62, having a call from the presidency of the church, and like many things, you had no idea just what you're getting into. I really love the Polynesian people and their spirit, and their faith and their humility. It was a privilege to be associated with them. And in some ways, I've tried to model my life after them. I don't know how successful I've been.
Welcome home. Enjoy, and we love you.
Leaving their current lives in countries throughout the South Pacific, the alumni stepped back in time and came together to perform.
After all of the rehearsals and costume fittings, the shows are about to begin. Backstage here, some are feeling a little nervous, hoping that the knowledge of how to entertain an audience will once again sweep over them.
Some of them may be in their 70s now, but they proved they still have the moves.
At the end of the show, I stood there and looked out to the people at the stage. And I was so amazed what kind of spirit was in that stage. I danced at the beginning, and this may be my last one. 50 years later, I danced my last dance.
Now sealed with the blessing of an apostle.
We're grateful to you, performers, to your companions, to your children, to your grandchildren. Keep up the good work and know how grateful we are for your faith, your devotion, your loyalty to this very, very important concept of education and culture. We love you.
The alumni leave a rich legacy to the young performers of today. You will meet them coming up. When you watch them perform, it's hard to imagine that they are not highly paid professionals. These young Latter-day Saints believe their talents are divinely endowed gifts. Each day the center is open, they perform in the Parade of Canoes, introducing their visitors to the music and dance of the 6 villages representing Hawaii, Samoa, Tonga, Fiji, New Zealand, and Tahiti.
Everyone here at the PCC knows that visitors are intrigued by the islands of the South Pacific, but very unlikely to visit all of them. So their goal is to give them a flavor of each one. By performing and serving as tour guides at the center, the young people are able to pay their college expenses. The other benefit comes from learning more about where they come from.
Learning more about our culture helps us to know what we are and who we are. And so I think it's the most important thing for us to have not only respect for our culture, but first to have respect for ourselves.
We are not only sharing our Tahitian culture, but we are also sharing the culture of the church, which is to help others to see that they are children of God as well.
Students built this double-hull Hawaiian canoe in 2001. By creating it, they learned that part of the culture, and every year they sail it to another island to discover how their ancestors traveled.
No, this is how we got here. We know we came from somewhere else, and so we really identify with a lot of this. Your family raises you Hawaiian, but now I understand why we do the things we do, why we live the way we live.
And as they interact with tourists, they share their culture and talk about who they are.
We try to sneak in gospel principles here and there, but I think it really comes down to the spirit of aloha, this brotherly kindness, this love for all people.
I have guests ask, they're surprised that when they find out that this is an LDS organization, and they're like, so you guys are a Mormon? And then we're like, yeah, we are. Then they kind of think about that, and then they take that away with them, kind of with a smile.
They definitely smile when they meet Iliesa Delai. In costume, he epitomizes the native peoples of Fiji.
Even though we are expressing our culture to those that are coming to visit with us, at the same time when we ask them, a little bit about them, so it's a place of learning. I just feel a lot of love too from people.
Like Iliesa, Asenica comes from a very small village in Fiji. They are both returned missionaries.
It helps me get ready for, the second mission. Having a family and then building them up in the gospel, and also in the culture, preserving the culture and passing it down from generation to generation.
Esita and Sili come from Tonga. While teaching visitors how to turn a leaf into a fish, they talk with them.
They came with different background of different faith, and so we kind of reflect on our experience. We're missionaries. They were able to share the gospel with them, just a little bit. But we are so excited to talk to them every single day.
It has helped me trust in the Lord more, so that way it prepared me for a mission, but not just that. I think it's prepared me for a more independent life in the future.
Turietti Rudolph and her brother Mitchell come from New Zealand, or as it is known here, Aotearoa, which means the land of the long white cloud. A Polynesian navigator discovered it in 900 AD. His wife gave it the name which the native Maori still use. The Rudolphs call the PCC a land of discovery. Here they have come to know themselves better.
It's really made me kind of test myself when it comes to the church, and I think that I've grown so much while being here, and I don't think that any of this growth would have happened any other place for me.
If you put the Lord first and do all those things first, everything will fall into place, and the Lord will help you, and with schooling and with everything.
And it's just doing both of them in either hand, smiling, and give it a bit of a throwback like that. It's nothing too hard, just a couple of years worth of practice and you'll be good. And that's the point.
All of the young people here in 2013 experienced an eye-opening week of meeting those who came before them. They realized they are the legacy of the PCC pioneers.
It felt so special this whole week, seeing these old people that started a PCC and work here. It had blessed my life in many ways.
It's just a great feeling that we have as students that work here, because celebrating this 50th year as we are here at the moment, just a once-in-a-lifetime experience that we have. And as years come by and getting older, maybe one time we'll come back.
And what they give to each other may ultimately be more valuable than all they learn here. Each student discovers the cultural traditions of the other nations and eventually takes with him or her appreciation for not only dance and music, art and food, but a love for the people of those countries. That love has proven to be lasting for 50 years now. It leads us back to that original prophecy, which spoke of peace in that part of the world. And those are the words echoed by a Latter-day Apostle. You will hear from him next. Hundreds lined the streets, cheering the arrival of Elder Russell and Sister Wendy Nelson, who served as Grand Marshals of the 50th Anniversary Parade for the Polynesian Cultural Center. A deluge delayed the start, and even as they moved along, the rains came again.
Wendy was on one side and I was on the other. We were waving to people and throwing little candy bars to them, and the rain didn't bother anybody. It was a warm shower, we enjoyed it, but to see the joy in the faces of the people, young and old.
Elder Nelson has traveled many times to the beautiful islands of the Pacific with church presidents, witnessing their feelings about the land and the people.
I know how they could sense the personification of the teachings of the Book of Mormon that state that the promise to gather scattered Israel would focus on the people of the islands of the sea. It's most illogical and unlikely, but the Lord uses the unlikely to accomplish the impossible. And each one of those men has not only had an interest here, but they've left their blessings on the land. So it is sacred soil. And the people who are here are foreordained and foredetermined for their lofty purpose of building up the church in this part of the world, and that then extends to the other nations of the world.
One of the most remarkable connections made here is with China. In 1984, Chinese Premier Zhao Ziyang met with President Reagan in Washington, then requested a visit to the Polynesian Cultural Center. He told his hosts his daughter had been a student at BYU Hawaii and worked at the PCC under another name.
They entertained dignitaries from the People's Republic of China, and I met them, some of them for the first time here. They invited me to come to China.
From that visit came a Chinese cultural center in Shenzhen, and when it opened in 1996, they literally rolled out the red carpet for President and Sister Hinckley. Now a number of Chinese students are attending BYU Hawaii and working at the PCC.
One of those sweet sisters came up to me after and she said, in perfect English, "I want to be a missionary." Well, we have missionaries coming from the People's Republic of China into the world and into our missionary force. So it's wonderful to see this happening, all to the end that they will return to their own country and bless the lives of their own families, their own people. The influence of this institution has permeated these various other countries which were otherwise impenetrable.
Elder and Sister Nelson spent hours in the Polynesian Cultural Center enjoying the pageant of the canoes and visiting each of the villages. A very dynamic greeting awaited them in Aotearoa, or New Zealand. A Maori warrior placed a peace token for Elder Nelson, a centuries-old tradition that signaled a safe entrance into the village. Then the Maori women welcomed their guests as they all moved into the carved house. What these young people do here, Elder Nelson says, prepares them to be future leaders.
For these young people to get an education and not be in debt is a very, very liberating thing for them. But even more than that, they learn to live in peace with one another. Different languages, different cultures, naturally enemies toward one another historically. Behind all this is international peace, love of God, promotion of His church. It's all good.
And coming up, the connection from the Polynesian Cultural Center to the classroom. Stephen Wheelwright, president of BYU Hawaii, welcomed his students to campus. He always wants to know where they come from and what they are studying. This student body may be one of the most diverse in the country. 2,700 young people come from 75 nations. Half of them live in the Pacific, Asia, the Philippines, Australia, and the islands. 1/3 reside in North America and 15% in Hawaii. That combination creates a world of discovery about each other and, for some, modern conveniences.
We've had students, even current students, who when they came, they'd never seen an electric light, they'd never used a flush toilet, they'd never been on an airplane, and then they come to a country where it's a different language for most of them, it's their second or third language, and so they have a lot to learn.
And although that learning curve may be steep, the rewards can be nothing short of remarkable. Professor David Bybee remembers a young couple who returned to the Marshall Islands after graduation. Some years later, they passed through Hawaii on their way to the United Nations, where she was speaking and he was serving on the International Committee for Climate Change.
That's made me think very carefully about how I design my course, what sorts of things I am teaching, what sorts of things they need to be learning, and am I really giving them, in the short time I have them, what will be best for them. Now, not all of them are going to stand up at the UN, but many of them do have the opportunity to do important things and big things in the countries they come from.
Brigham Young University Hawaii is experiencing its first expansion in decades. The Heber J. Grant Building operates as both a stake center and houses the College of Business, Computing, and Government. Several hundred gathered for the dedication. The building is named for the 7th church president. Elder Russell M. Nelson offered the dedicatory prayer and talked of a personal connection.
President Heber J. Grant, who was president of the church when I was born. And when he was president of the church, the total membership of the church was 600,000. Now, nearly every one of our area presidents presides over a larger church than President Grant did.
And soon, within 2.5 years, there will be a larger student body.
It will expand our capacity from 2,700 students to about 3,200. Now we need to expand the housing.
Travis and Salati Seomanatafa, both from New Zealand, met on campus as elementary education majors. They worked together at the PCC, married, and are expecting their first baby in October.
Coming here was a big blessing in disguise. We both didn't really want to come to school, but I guess the Heavenly Father has a different plan for us.
Travis served a mission in Brisbane, Australia, and it was while preaching the gospel that he knew he wanted to become a teacher.
After much prayer and fasting, I eventually came, which was one of the best decisions that I've made, because it led to many other things, being that meeting my wife and also being able to get a better education.
Travis and Salati will return to New Zealand in January to do their student teaching and begin life together there. He calls her the spiritual giant of the family. She says he is.
He's just a great example of church principles, and that's something that allowed me to grow. I would encourage married life to everyone here, especially the young single adults, that you just, it's an eternal perspective.
On this campus, they all understand the connection that the temple has to the university, which in turn is connected to the Polynesian Cultural Center. Each contributes to the development of the whole person.
I know it'll bless me in my life through work experience, through having great professors like Brother Waibi. It's a great blessing too to have the spiritual and the secular come together and being able to mix it and be in a nice environment like this blessed place like BYU Hawaii.
Every year, these young people bridge their connection to the mainland, and every day they build business connections in their community. That's coming up next. Inside a garage in Midway, Utah this summer, a group from the Polynesian Cultural Center combined its creativity to build a float for the 24th of July parade.
You're going to cut that angle as well so it hugs up against the back of the hull. Okay.
That's William Mahoney, the PCC's major events director. He says they were blessed with good weather because the 13.5-foot sailing vessel with a whale underneath was too big to store anywhere.
Those colors underneath with the fish will be awesome. I think that'll bring it out a lot.
1, 2, 1, 2. Some of you, you're half my age, but you're acting like you're older than me. Move.
It is now the evening of July 23rd, and all of these PCC alums need a little rehearsal before tomorrow's big parade.
They will dance their way down the streets alongside the float, united as always.
It's just the spirit of aloha. You know, people have different definitions of what that is, but to me, I think it's just family. So we have a big, family feeling in the Polynesian Culture Center. And that's why when we see each other, it's like, seeing a brother or sister.
The Voyage of Faith float turned out to be both an award winner and a crowd pleaser. Every year, people wait for the PCC entry. This year, the enthusiasm was even greater because of the 50th anniversary celebration. And the celebration went on. Thousands of Utahns attended their performances along the Wasatch Front. Nowhere else in the world does the traveling show receive so much support.
I think that there's some definite ties to Utah and Polynesia and all the islands of the sea.
You feel the spirit with them, and there's a lot of members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and they share that spirit through dance and song and through who they are as people.
For the young people and the alums from Utah in this audience, this was an opportunity to prepare for the biggest reunion in PCC history.
They're all coming home, so that they can walk the grounds that they have prepared for many of us who are still there. And I know we are so strong now because we're walking on their shoulders, those who have gone before us.
For 1 week in September 2013, thousands of former student performers returned to the place where they learned so much, where they grew into adulthood.
The time that I spent over here is just very precious to me. And it was just coming back just to see how the place has developed.
It is a great opportunity to return back and see where, everything starts for me. The music career, the dancing career, and have taught me so much. And with the Gospels, and it has done tremendous things.
One of the most enjoyable, relaxing experiences here at the PCC is the canoe ride. But the center has bragging rights. It has become now the #1 tourist attraction in all of Hawaii. The #1 paid tourist attraction. Over the decades, many Latter-day Saint church leaders have visited, as well as former First Ladies Jackie Kennedy and Pat Nixon, the King of Tonga, actors Kirk Douglas, Anthony Quinn, Pamela Anderson, and Elvis Presley, who spent a week at the PCC filming the 1966 movie Paradise Hawaiian Style. And because of the now tens of millions who have come here, many businesses, large and small, along the North Shore benefit from that number.
The scenery is breathtaking and the surf is unparalleled. It's a great spot.
Most days, Spencer Davila is in the water either surfing or teaching others how to ride the waves. Born in Ogden, Utah, he grew up in Tooele. A cross-country scholarship brought him to BYU, Hawaii. He has his own business as well, having designed the Monkey Pole, a bamboo stick with an attachment for a GoPro camera on the end.
Bamboo is an amazing resource that's renewable. It grows super quick. It's very strong and very light, so I've actually been selling those bamboo poles all around here. A lot of surfers use them. So basically, I'd like to take that same lifestyle, that same type of mentality of going green and saving the earth that we have out here in Hawaii and bring it all the way back down to the mainland, to California and eventually Utah.
The Kahuku Grill and Seven Brothers cater to tourists who want familiar barbecue food mixed with island favorites like pineapple and shrimp. Eating establishments in Laie see a rise in customers when the number of visitors to the PCC increases and employees recommend a place.
A lot of times we'll kind of check out the parking lot to see how full they really are. It can kind of give us a good idea that, okay, the night show ends at 9. A lot of those people, a lot of that traffic, they'll see a lot of the employees, and the first thing they want to do is go eat. So their first place is, oh yeah, you guys should go try the hamburger joint.
Described as one of the most beautiful and peaceful resorts in the world, Turtle Bay includes almost 5 miles of beachfront and offers a variety of activities. As the only resort on this side of Oahu, Turtle Bay and the Polynesian Cultural Center have more than a business connection.
PCC and Turtle Bay have had a long-standing relationship, and we consider each other not just partners, but we consider ourselves ohana, which is family. We used to have a luau here at the hotel, which really didn't make a lot of sense because no one can do it as well as PCC. And so we send our guests and encourage them to learn our culture and develop the culture. Again, nobody does it better than PCC, so we love sending people there.
And the show visitors talk about for days afterwards is Ha, Breath of Life. We'll take you there, coming up. Jonathan Napela became one of the first and most influential converts to the church in Hawaii. Descended from Hawaiian royalty, he possessed both wealth and influence and was a judge when a young missionary, Elder George Q. Cannon, made an inspired trek alone on the island of Maui.
He was prompted and told by the Spirit that if he did that, he would meet someone that was going to be very influential in the church.
Napela helped Elder Cannon translate the Book of Mormon into Hawaiian in 1855, helped convert hundreds of fellow countrymen, and helped establish the gathering place of Laie. Belonging to Heaven by Gail Sears follows the story of faith and sacrifice. She spent a month in Hawaii researching this remarkable story. Napela's beautiful wife, Kitty, contracted leprosy. All lepers were forced to live the rest of their days in desolate conditions on the island of Molokai.
Jonathan did not have leprosy, and it's such a love story. He made the decision that he was going to go with her to the island as her kokua, which means her helper.
Napela became the assistant supervisor of the colony there and formed a deep friendship with Father Damien, a Catholic priest who devoted his life to the lepers of Molokai. They both died of leprosy.
There are journal entries where people say that they were called yoke mates because they worked so hard together. Other journal entries said that they were the best of friends.
Just recently, the Catholic Church sent a plaque recognizing the work and friendship these two men shared. That plaque is at the Polynesian Cultural Center. Many feel this is the perfect place to recognize faith, sacrifice, and the love that the peoples of the islands have for one another.
The islands were born out of the fire of the earth, and life comes forth from the fire of love.
In this program, all that the Polynesian people share comes together. Ha, the breath of life, tells the story of the islands and their peoples through song and dance. Millions are drawn to the Polynesian Cultural Center's theater every year to become part of the feeling this program creates. The production begins with family and new life, and each island group offers experiences and gifts. Birth and death, struggle and joy. The islanders join in a celebration of life. And this touches people no matter where they come from.
We came out here, we knew we wanted to come visit here. This was one of the best times we had last time we were here.
I was told that this is one of the best experiences, so I came and I did enjoy myself.
This center that brings young people together as co-workers and fellow performers is often where they find a lasting romantic connection as well.
They met their eternal companions here. They started their family here. Many of them are here with their grandchildren. And it's just an amazing experience to be around that kind of family feeling that exists here at the Polynesian Cultural Center. So many of them will say, this is where my life began. All of the important things that happened in my life started here.
Coming over here at BYU Hawaii helps us to also grow spiritually. And the fact that we're working at PCC helps us professionally to become leaders, even to build Zion everywhere we go.
And during the 50th anniversary celebration, the generations came together.
Everything that we do, we look to our kupuna, our elders, to help guide us and direct us based on their experience, based upon their values. We also understand that the next generation is also coming up, and it'll be our responsibility to guide and direct them, much as we have been guided and directed by those who went before us.
The temple in Laie with its beautiful gardens, the inviting campus of BYU Hawaii, and the inspiring Polynesian Cultural Center. In 2003, President Gordon B. Hinckley said this becomes one great and beautiful and magnificent campus. There is nothing quite like it in so small an area, really, than we have anywhere else in the world. Each one is a place of learning. Each has been blessed by the Spirit. And from early church members throughout the South Pacific to the young people who follow them, all have made and continue to make a voyage of faith.